Good afternoon, and welcome to UCA YouTube Live. This is Amy Reynolds, Graduate Research Assistant and Doctoral Student at UCEA headquarters at the University of Virginia. I'm here today to interview Terah Venzant Chambers as a part of her candidacy for the UCA Executive Committee and UCA President-elect. Today, listeners will be hearing from Terah Venzant Chambers, Associate Professor of K-12 Educational Administration at Michigan State University. Her research focuses on urban school leadership and post-Brown K-12 education policy. Welcome, Dr. Venzant Chambers.
Hi, Amy. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for listening.
Okay, let's begin with the first question. Please tell us about your background and work as it relates to UCEA's mission and goals.
Yeah, sure. Well, first, let me say what an honor it is just to be nominated for the EC again and for the presidency. It's just really a great thing for me to even be considering. But as it relates to my background and the work that I do, I began my faculty career in 2006 at Wellesley College, but then I moved into an educational leadership position at Texas A&M in 2007, and it was very soon after that I attended my very first UCEA conference. And since that very first conference, I've been really pleased to see an equity and social justice mission as an explicit part of UCEA's mission, and that aligns well with my research. As you said in my introduction, I focus on post-Brown K-12 ed policy and also urban education leadership. And so a lot of what I've been doing in my career in higher education has been focused on supporting urban-focused research and teaching and outreach. But another important part of UCEA's vision to me, and I'm going to quote from the UCEA website, it's to work collaboratively with schools and educational agencies to positively influence local, state, and national policy. And I want to just speak to that idea with one example. The vast majority of my academic career, about 11 years, has been at land-grant institutions that take seriously their role of serving the communities in which they are located. And this was not by accident for me. My own commitment to higher education stems from that same perspective. I've always seen my role as a faculty member in a college of education as deeply connected to the broader community, and I've sought opportunities to manifest that vision. So the example I want to share is a recent publication that I co-authored with two of my colleagues here at MSU, Dr. Dorinda Carter-Andrews and Dr. Cesare Warren, in the wake of post-election acts of violence and racism in schools around the nation, but also here in Michigan. We wrote an article, and it was titled, "Our Children Are Watching: Strategies for Educators to Promote Equity and Inclusion in Schools." And we intended that publication to offer just-in-time strategies to teachers and school leaders who are working to support their students, many of whom come from immigrant and refugee communities and have been the target of these attacks. But to me, research is most relevant and impactful when it's driven by community needs. So I could share other examples of the ways my work aligns with UCEA's mission and goals, but I think that's a good representation of my broader commitment to these issues and the way that it might align with what UCEA has going on.
Thank you. The next question is, you've served for several years as a plenary session representative. Tell us about your engagement in UCA's governance.
Yeah, good question. So it's been my pleasure really to be involved in several ways through my service, first as a plenary session representative. And actually, UCEA was instrumental in my own success as a faculty member in educational leadership, especially as I transitioned from a background that was more aligned with policy. And so it was the guidance and really like the mentoring that I received through UCEA that helped me become successful in the field. Much of that came as a result of my engagement in UCEA's governance. So I just want to share a few examples. So I became a plenum rep in 2010. The next year, I was invited to participate in a site team visit to Texas State, which was at that time applying for membership in UCEA. So that was my first involvement beyond just being a plenum rep. And then in 2013, when Mark Gooden was president-elect, he invited me to be on his conference planning committee with Samantha Scribner and Muhammad Khalifa. We helped plan the convention in Indianapolis. Of course, I think that was the best convention we've ever had at UCEA, but I might be a little bit biased about that. In 2014, then, I was elected to the EC, and that has really provided a platform to inform the work of UCEA and give back to this organization. So those are the main ways that I've been involved in governance.
Thank you for that response. A follow-up question: in what other ways have you been engaged with UCEA?
Yeah, so in addition to governance, I've tried to become very involved in UCEA in a lot of different ways. First and foremost, I believe that engagement begins with participation. So I've attended UCEA conferences, I've reviewed proposals, I've served as a chair discussant, and I've presented, I think, at every single UCEA since I started back in 2007. I also have been a Barbara Jackson Scholar Mentor for the last several years. Basically, as soon as I was eligible, I started signing up for that opportunity. And I actually still keep in contact with most of my advisees, hopefully on a monthly basis. That's what I try to do a little check-in, even though I think the requirements of the program are that we be connected for 2 years. I try to extend that mentorship beyond that. I've also been a mentor for the Clark Scholars Program 3 times, actually. That involves participating in the review of proposals, helping to select the scholars, and then the best part is being able to serve as a mentor to a small group of students at the actual Clark seminar, which takes place at UCEA or at AERA. It's a lot of work, but I would do it every year if you guys let me do it. I learned so much from all of the students and from my colleagues. It's always a great experience. So that has been great. Actually, after the first time I did Clark, when I was at the Clark seminar, I participated on a panel that was talking about making the transition into faculty life. And then as a result of my comments at Clark, I was invited to put together a graduate student mentoring session that I've been doing yearly since then. The title of it is Woulda, Shoulda, Coulda, What We Wish We Would Have Known Before Becoming a Professor. I think this will be the 5th year that I facilitate that panel at UCEA, and I rotate in a different mix of faculty members from early career to seasoned scholars. I try to bring in a wide diversity of people to come and talk about their experiences at various stages of the professoriate, from graduate student through tenure, strategies they've employed to be successful, also the pitfalls that they've encountered that maybe they can help other people avoid. But that's been a real exciting contribution to make to the program. But I've also been involved in other graduate student initiatives and panels. Basically, every time I'm asked to do something, I try to say yes. I try to never say no to students. I've also been on award selection committees. I think I served on the Master Professor Committee, the Edwin Bridges Committee, also the committee that selects the best case, the nominating committee. I could probably name a few more things, but I think that's what's most important to know about my involvement in UCEA is that I believe in showing up for this organization. It's something that I plan to continue to do and hope to inspire other people to do also.
Thank you for providing that rich description of the many ways in which you've provided service to UCEA. The next question is to discuss with us your scholarship, research projects, teaching, and/or other service that can inform the work of UCEA, particularly the work of the Executive Committee.
Yeah, well, so I spoke a little bit about my research earlier, so I actually only have a few things to say here. I would just say that my scholarly commitment basically is to the idea of fostering supportive learning communities that support student achievement for all students, but particularly students of color. And actually, I think that that's parallel to the mission of the Executive Committee and for the President, who will work to create an experience for those attending the convention, but also to the broader field that helps them feel more connected, more engaged, more welcome, in addition to providing a space to share cutting-edge research in the field more broadly. So I think that there are some nice parallels between the work that I'm doing here at Michigan State with my research, the teaching that I'm doing in urban education and education leadership and qualitative research methods that align nicely with what the Executive Committee is doing and the leadership provided by the President.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move on to our final question. Please share the reasons why you have chosen to run for UCA President and your vision for the future of UCEA.
So that's a really important question, and I'm glad that I have the opportunity to speak to it. So the experiences that I've had as a PSR and also on the EC have given me some insight into the governance of UCEA. I have been able to, I guess, take a front row seat as several really great presidents have led this organization. And I've seen a community of people who care deeply about the future of educational leadership in general, but also specific to UCEA. And I really want to continue to be a part of that community of caring. And I think that I have some contributions to share for the leadership towards that end. But in terms of my vision for the future outside of my scholarship, I've dedicated myself to issues of mentoring, both of graduate students and junior faculty. I think that this is actually an area of strength for UCEA. We've been a real leader in this area. I certainly have seen a significant increase in the activities and resources that are devoted to graduate student support, but I think that we can turn that same attention to the support of junior faculty. Once those graduate students move into faculty positions, there are a whole other set of expectations and challenges that they have to navigate. And I think that UCEA can continue to play a role in helping make that transition just a little bit smoother. I would welcome the opportunity actually to put some thinking toward that effort to increase our activities even more, just as we've done for our graduate students. Take a moment to speak to my larger vision for the organization. I can't help but think about the larger political context within which we currently find ourselves. Leadership matters, and that certainly has been resonating with me very profoundly these last few months. I keep asking myself how I can contribute with my scholarship, with my teaching, to improving the community. What skills do I have that might make a difference? One way that I've answered that call for myself is having gotten involved in my local schools. And actually, I just recently put in a letter of application for a vacant seat on the school board in East Lansing. It's scary, but I feel very committed to the idea that I can and I should contribute to my local community and the quality of education that is afforded to children here. This is the time to put our money where our mouths are. And I envision in my presidency holding that standard for all of us, asking everyone in this organization to step up in various ways to make an impact. On the one hand, I don't think that this is too much of a departure from what previous presidents have called us to do, what the mission and vision of this organization is really about. But on the other hand, I see that this is an opportunity and really a responsibility for us to use our research expertise to inform what's happening nationally, at the state level, locally. I think that you would see this really be a cornerstone of my presidency.
Thank you so much for the time you've spent with us today and your thoughtful responses to these questions, Dr. Venzant Chambers.
Oh, you're welcome. I just really want to thank you for the opportunity to even continue serving on the EC. It would be an honor to continue in that role, and then even more so to take on the challenge of serving as this institution's next president should the plenum elect me to this position. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And for the listeners, this interview will be archived on the UCEA YouTube channel. Listeners can access or share the interview at any time. We also encourage listeners to post comments and questions on this interview in the comments on the UCEA YouTube channel. Thank you and good afternoon.